When governments borrow, there's no final invoice, no single moment when the country pays it back. Instead, the cost shows up quietly, spread across society over time, and most people never realize when they're paying it. This video explains who actually bears the cost of government debt. Not in theory, not in political slogans, but in practice, as it has happened again and again throughout history. We'll look at why debt doesn't disappear, but also isn't repaid the way people expect, how the burden is shifted through inflation, interest rates, and policy, which groups tend to lose purchasing power, and which groups are usually protected. This isn't about blame. It's about understanding how the cost is distributed, often without anyone voting on it. Government debt is not a pile of money waiting to be returned. It's a set of promises to bondholders, to banks, to pension funds, and to savers. When people say the government owes money, the real question is, owes money to whom, and under what conditions? Those conditions determine who pays. Historically, the most reliable way governments reduce debt burdens is inflation combined with low interest rates. This does not look dramatic, it does not feel like a tax, but it works. When prices rise faster than interest rates, the real value of government debt shrinks. Bondholders earn less in real terms, and cash savings lose purchasing power. No law is passed, no vote is taken. The cost is simply absorbed by people holding safe assets. After World War II, many advanced economies carried enormous debts. They did not pay them down with austerity. They reduced them by allowing moderate inflation, keeping interest rates low, and letting time do the work. Savers paid quietly. Workers rarely pay government debt directly, but they often pay indirectly. When governments try to control inflation or stabilize debt, wage growth is restrained, public spending growth slows, and labor markets are kept flexible. The result is often slower real wage growth, less bargaining power, and longer periods of stagnation. The burden shows up not as a bill, but as missed opportunities. Borrowers, especially those with fixed-rate, local currency debt, are often protected. When inflation rises, the real value of their debt falls, their payments stay the same, and their assets may rise in price. This is not favoritism, it's arithmetic. Mortgage holders, governments, and large institutions often find themselves on the same side of this equation. Asset owners tend to fare best during periods of high debt adjustment. Why? Because asset prices adjust faster than wages, property and equities can reprice with inflation, and policy responses often prioritize financial stability. This doesn't mean asset owners always win, but it does mean they are usually last in line to absorb losses. Sometimes, governments cannot manage the adjustment quietly. When debt is denominated in foreign currency, combined with weak institutions, or paired with political instability, the cost becomes visible. Defaults, currency crises, and sudden collapses in living standards follow. In those cases, everyone pays at once, and the distribution is far harsher. The phrase "who pays for government debt" suggests a single answer, but there isn't one. The cost is spread across groups, shifted through time, and hidden inside prices, wages, and returns. This makes it politically useful and publicly confusing. Government debt is not free, but it is also not paid the way most people imagine. The real cost is carried by savers through inflation, by workers through slower income growth, and by some creditors through low real returns. Understanding this doesn't tell you what policy is right, but it does tell you where to look. Because the most important question isn't how big the debt is. It's who absorbs the cost, and how quietly it happens. If this video helped you understand who pays for government debt, consider subscribing for more economic history.